Suzy Vance, and this is my wonderful friend Edwin Shelton. And we're here from the heart of the park. And we're going to talk about Edwin's creativity today. As you can see, he's a very creative guy. I mean, look at the jacket that he has on him. He's just fantastic.
Thank you.
So we're here in his studio, as you can see by some of the stuff that we have behind. And I want to know, Edwin, how did this all happen? What in your life, just give me a little detail about how you finally let go so much.
That was the breakthrough. It was like, I think entering my 60s.
Oh, yes.
All of a sudden, I'm like, I don't care what anybody thinks. I'm going to make what I want to make. And so all of a sudden I've tapped this energy that's been stored for 4 decades. And I feel like I'm back like I was in graduate school. And I come into the studio every day, mostly just to have fun and to challenge myself with what can I do that's outrageous. And I think I'm achieving it some days.
I do too. So let's go back a minute. You said 4 decades ago you were in school?
Oh, yes. I did my undergraduate work at Virginia Commonwealth University in Richmond, Virginia, where I had this like phenomenal group of professors. And they recognized what I was doing or what I was capable of. So they shipped me off immediately.
What was your major?
Sculpture.
Thank you.
Okay. They shipped me immediately to University of Wisconsin-Madison.
Oh.
So I stubbornly got through that program in 2 years.
Why stubbornly?
Well, it was a different, the reception in Richmond in the sculpture department was much warmer than what I experienced in Wisconsin.
Warmer meaning more open to whatever moved you? Or?
There was just a better connection.
Okay.
The better connection. Wisconsin served its purpose. I mean, I left before I could complete my degree. They were kind enough to let me go to the Skowhegan School of Painting and Sculpture.
Where is that?
In Skowhegan, Maine.
And what is that?
That is a farm. Originally it was a farm, and it was taken over by a not-for-profit. So what they do is they bring in exceptional New York artists as instructors over the summer, and then students can come in and work with these particular artists for a period of time. So I completed my credits for my Master of Fine Arts degree at Skowhegan.
Thank you.
Yes.
All right. And then what?
Well, I met Laurel Iser, my wife, in Wisconsin. So at the time, we thought we were to become art professors because she had a ceramics major, I had the sculpture major, but the universe had shifted and it was hard to find those jobs.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
So.
And this is time frame just.
1980.
Okay.
So we moved to Richmond, Virginia, because that's where my family was. And I was adjunct faculty in the sculpture department at VCU. So I walked by a desk one time and the secretary said, why don't you fill this out? There might be a chance you could go to Paris. And we had just gotten married. So I thought, well, what the heck? So I filled out the piece of paper. Lo and behold, we got the opportunity to go to Paris, France for 4.5 months. And we had 2 nickels to rub together. So Laurel, in her creative genius, put together a ceramic jewelry line. It was slip cast and hand glazed. I still had my little kiln from high school in my parents' basement. So we started cranking jewelry right and left, and then we've had the good fortune of finding a craft gallery in Richmond, Virginia, who accepted the work. Well, it was the perfect thing at the perfect time. Women were showing up with their dresses to match the glazes of the earrings. So we generated enough money in about 9 months to do 4.5 months in this amazing international Cité d'Arts, like downtown Paris. And we were like maybe 4 blocks from Notre Dame. And it was just an extraordinary experience. I mean, and we went there not knowing a drop of French.
Oh my God,
So
Edwin!
fortunately, the French had mercy and they
Oh,
would
they
use
are.
their English.
And if you try, if you just do a little, they're much more forgiving than
Yeah.
if you just impose your English.
So that was kind of like got us jump started. We had this magnificent time in Paris, and we would go to museums every day, and we had food that was just unbelievable. So then we came back, and Laurel didn't like the climate in Virginia because it was so tropical.
Right.
So we decided to move back to the Midwest. So
Oh, you think this isn't tropical?
well, compared to Richmond. We started the Edwin Ceramics in Woodstock, Illinois, in a church that we rented. And we did that for about 20 years. And then we moved to different locations. Eventually, we moved to Chicago, and we were at Little Street Studios for a period of time. And then we graduated out of Little Street into the Cornelia Arts Building. And then we moved to Michigan City because we wanted to find a house we could afford. So we found this amazing house, like 1 block south of 11th Street, and we were like very, very happy. And we set up our ceramic studio. Everything's going just fine until 9/11. And I don't know whether it was 9/11, but there was all of a sudden objects from China could be imported cheaper than what we could produce them here.
I remember this.
Oh, so the universe takes the opportunity
To whack you over
to
the
whack
head.
me over the head with the metaphysical 2x4 and said, what you're doing, you're not going to be doing anymore. So it had been our baby for almost 20 years.
I remember.
So I finally woke up when I had created a great deal of debt. So I had to sell.
There's nothing, I've always said, debt is the tuition of life.
Oh, indeed, indeed. So I had at one point, I had like saved up money. I had purchased 2 Roger Brown aquatints, a drawing by Martin Ramirez, a Christine Ramberg painting, and 4 etchings by Jim Nutt. This was going to be our retirement.
It was. You just got a new set of wheels.
Well,
Retirement.
Yes, I got retired. So I liquidated that to get us back to 0. So that was a personal growth opportunity of monumental proportions.
Yes.
So the universe is like, oh, well, now you've got to figure out what you're going to do in Michigan City,
Yeah.
which was my biggest fear when we moved here, because we brought our business, but I had no idea how to connect in the community. So as the universe would have it, I ended up starting part-time at the John G. Blank Art Center
Right.
with Lelda Calmite.
Oh my goodness.
And she let me eventually direct the Faux Fish Summer Art Camp. I got to build a summer camp for kids outdoors for 6 weeks, and knock on wood, with all humility, pulled in the Governor's Award for Environmental Arts for 2003. That was a phenomenal experience. So then eventually the John G. Blank Center became the Lebesnick Center for the Arts. I got a full-time job, and
Which was?
I was kind of doing almost everything. I was exhibitions and programs at the same time. Bum, bum, bada, bada, bum, 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 and I was having a blast. So that was a great gift. I learned so much during that experience. And then, let me see, I was there about 4.5 years.
Right.
And then Marquette had this opportunity that I could teach a special program for like 8th graders. So I started doing that at Marquette. And all of a sudden I'm like, whoa, this feels like home, this whole teaching thing. So as more things blossomed, I ended up at Notre Dame Catholic School.
Right.
And I had a wonderful time there, but I was only part-time. So I mentioned that to the principal, Ben Potts,
And
and he brokered another part-time job so I could get full-time with Benny's
at Marquette.
at St. Stan's.
At St. Stan's.
At St. Stan's. So I'm covering all kinds of places. So I did that for 2 years, and then I thought, well, I'll try high school. So I ended up at Andrean High School.
Yes.
And I had quite a bit of learning there that I enjoyed on different levels. But I recognized that at this time, Laurel had been teaching 9 years, and I hadn't been teaching that long. So I came home one day and I said, Laurel, I got an idea. How about you retire so I can have your job? And that took 2 seconds to get a confirmation. So she said, yeah. So we talked to Principal White, and so he agreed. So I ended up taking her job
At Marquette.
at Marquette. So once again, the universe does a triple blessing on me again.
And you're still there.
Well, but this is the first semester.
Ooh.
And Marquette is has a really strong international program.
Yes.
So they've got the Chinese students there.
Right.
They've got Chinese teachers to help them
Right.
be there. So I decided I'm going to take a group of the Chinese students to the Art Institute so they can see the collection there.
Right.
So one of the Chinese teachers was in earshot. So I said, do you want to come along? And she goes, yes. So her name is Lin Song. So we were on the South Shore train, we go, and in the back of my mind, I realized Marquette, it's their turn to send a Marquette teacher to China. And she was so open-hearted and so wonderful that I came back from the trip to the Art Institute and I asked Principal White if I could go to China. And he said yes. Once again, not a drop of Mandarin, but it was like Jenny Quinlan made all these amazing arrangements, and I got to spend 4 weeks teaching art in an elementary school 6.5 hours southeast of Beijing of 3,000 students.
Whoa.
It was a life-changing experience.
Tell me how. Give me an example.
My metaphor is I almost got killed by kindness.
Oh.
It was like every time I met someone, they would give me a gift, to the point where we had to buy an extra suitcase to load those gifts up over 4 weeks. And we still left a chunk of them for the maid. It was just phenomenal. And so I got there before Laurel did. Laurel covered my classes for 2 weeks. So Lynn took probably 3.5 hour bullet train trip to Beijing to pick me up. Or no, that was another woman. But yeah, and then we got the ride back. So anyway, I just had the best time. So I would go into a classroom of 60 kids. They're in uniform, no back on the chairs, just a stool and the seat, and they're sitting like an inch apart. And so they would have a translator for me. And then I would go into my whole art lesson, using my years of experience. And what I realized from my observation was they really wanted the kids to pick up better English. And it's so rare for them to have a native speaker in the school.
Right.
So I found out that there was a art materials store about a half a mile from where I was staying. So one Saturday I went there, I bought a bunch of paper and cardboard and stuff. I went back to my room. And so I started doing a series of little schematic drawings. One were like objects, and then the other batch was animals or organic things. So then my project was to have them randomly pick from each stack, and then they had to combine the two things. And so the English was written under each object so they could help them pick their English up. It was glorious, so glorious. So that was like another huge gift I'd never expected. And then we got to go to the Great Wall of China. which I never dreamed could happen in this lifetime.
Right.
And so, I don't ski, I'm not that athletic. So they got this old ski lift. The particular tour bus took us to. So Laurel and I are on the ski lift, and we're going up. So I've never been on one of these ski lift things. So we get to the top, and you're supposed to jump off. Well, I didn't know that. So this burly gentleman grabbed me and just pulls me off the chair, and my water goes flying through the air. We arrived safely. We got to enjoy the Great Wall of China, and then we took this toboggan thing to get down. And so every moment was just one extraordinary thing after another.